Hi everybody, Yuval Ron here, and I've been getting a lot of great questions from you guys ever since the campaign, crowdfunding campaign for Somewhere in This Universe, Somebody Hits a Drum, my coming new album has begun. And one of those questions is a good one. Why did I decide to improvise less and write more? And that is a great question because it's something that I've always been debating with myself, and the pendulum was always swinging back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes I wanted to write more, sometimes I wanted to write less, sometimes I wanted to improvise a lot, and while it never really got to free jazz for the most part, it was always having to do with some kind of composition and some kind of arrangement for different parts. In the past groups, those of you who know Residents of the Future, for example, it was a lot about soloing. So I wrote some piece which was concise enough to be a topic we can talk about, and then I just let the guys do whatever they wanted with it, basically just put in their talent and improvise over it, both in soloing and in comping. And it didn't have exactly the form of a head soloing, like head chorus head, but it was close enough to that. Sometimes we had a bridge, sometimes we had all kinds of other parts, but it still was pretty much about soloing around improvisation structures. And while in the new album this still is going on and we still have soloing and quite a bit of improvised sections, it's undeniable that I do write a lot more, and I do arrange a lot more, and even orchestrate sometimes. There were always those two ends for me in making music. One is the end of the composer slash arranger slash producer, which was the little control freak in me, always obsessed with details and always needing everything to come out exactly the way I hear it. And on the other hand, there was the improviser in me, just wanting to get the minimum necessary information to the group, which is the theme, and let them do the rest. Let them just put in their talent and improvise. And like I said, in the past few years, this thing has changed a little bit for me, from leaning mainly as a jazz rock slash fusion guy to the improvisation side and doing a lot of soloing, to the composer side. And that is what's happening really in this album, because I just realized that a lot of the stuff that I heard in previous albums and with the previous groups, a lot of the stuff that I had in my mind just didn't make it, just didn't come out, at least not the way I wanted it to be. And I thought that was kind of a shame, because I had tons of little ideas, and not necessarily for guitar. A lot of them were for drums, bass, keyboards, and anything else, any other aspect of the music that I just heard. I wanted it to come out. And with improvised music, it's not always possible. It's really hard to come to a group and tell them, let's put this or that in the middle of some solo. It doesn't really work, not in the way that you want it to work anyway. So I realized that the only way for me to convey everything I wanted to happen to the other musicians is to actually write, and write a lot, and create them parts, and even orchestrate sometimes by sonic qualities of the different instruments, be it the real live instruments or some synth sounds or some backing tracks. And all of that is really happening in the album. And that is why it sounds much more, I would say, detailed or planned or architected in a way compared to my previous works. This is not something which is better or worse. It's just something different. It's something different that I really felt that I need to do in order to express myself fully. It does come at the expense of improvisation, but not 100%. We still have quite a bit of it. The guys improvise, I improvise, there are solos, even comping sometimes is improvised. So I only write, and especially when it comes to rhythm section, bass and drums, I only write the minimum necessary information that I need to get the piece in its most level of detail across. And in this case, it just needs more of that, and that's why I write more. And it is a lot of work, but I hope that you will agree once you hear the music that it was all worth it, because the music sounds completely different, in my opinion, especially from that perspective.